Well, good morning and happy Friday. Welcome to Three Moms, 1, 2, 3, and a dad.
I represent all dads out there across America.
Yeah,
I speak for you and you alone.
Rob's got you all covered.
No small task.
So we try and to come up with a weekly topic on things that we think parents are talking about. So this week's topic is homeschooling. All the things you want to know, all the questions that you probably wanted to ask. And we have two moms here who are homeschoolers extraordinaire. So we're going to be asking them a few questions, kind of picking their brains, and we're also live. So we're on Facebook Live. If you have any comments and you want to chime in, Rob will see your comment. He'll be like, hey, so-and-so has a question, and then we can kind of tap in and figure out what other people are asking. So we're going to all introduce ourselves. I'll start off first. Hey, I'm Tracy. I work here at ABC 10. I'm a meteorologist. I also do a little traffic, and sometimes I report, so I consider myself to be an all-in-one. And that's a little bit about me. I have a daughter. She is 7 years old, Julian, and I thought about homeschooling her. I'm still thinking about it, which is why I can't wait to talk to you ladies.
We selfishly use this show to learn on the company dime. We just get to bring in people that we want to learn from. But we hope you use this show for your own interests as well, because I think, of all the topics out there for parents, schools become this huge thing. Huge. The betterment of your kids, your relationship, and homeschooling sort of ties in a lot of things about concerns that we have just in general about the world and what we can do. And homeschooling seems to be a very popular and growing option. So I'm Rob Carlmark. I'm a weather guy. I'm also a dad. I've got 3 kids. I've got 3 cameras. I'm going to look at all of them at the same time. But I'll tell you, this is a very interesting topic, and we have 2, I'm going to call you guys experts.
Yeah, I love it.
Because you guys both currently have 3 kids that you're homeschooling. So let us know who you are, Angelita first, and then Kelly, and about your kids and your experience with homeschooling.
All right, I'm Angelita. I have 3 kids, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And I know those ages sound young, but I feel like as soon as they're out, I'm already teaching them and engaging them in things.
Wow.
And I know one thing I learned, and I share with my husband, really the parent is the one who puts the limits on the education of the child, because they come out just ready to absorb everything and anything nonstop. It's you who sometimes okay, I need a moment. But they're like, read that again, mommy, or tell me more about this. And so I've been loving it, and that's kind of what launched us into homeschool, because we wanted to take those limits off and let them soar. So
awesome.
Okay, love it.
Yeah. I'm Kelly. I have 3 kids, 7, 11, and 14, and we've been homeschooling almost 10 years now.
Wow.
We kind of just started in kindergarten and tried it out and just said, okay, that worked out. We'll go for 1st grade, and then here we are, 10 years later.
Whoa.
A decade of homeschooling, so you've got a lot to share.
Yeah, she does. Okay, so we're going to start things off. What is homeschooling, right? So you might have in your head what you think it is. Homeschooling, educating your kids at home instead of sending them to a traditional public or private school. So I wanted to start off with Kelly. So you said 10 years. Now, I'm intimidated by trying to feel like I am my child's educator. I mean, there's certain things I'm really good at, some subjects I'm not so good at. How do you kind of navigate the field of being a teacher to your children? I'm sorry.
Well, one of my philosophies that after a few years, I found a program called Classical Conversations that really helped me kind of give a backbone to our homeschool. And the idea is to teach the kids how to learn, so they can learn anything, and that can follow them into their whole life. And so at this point, like my 14-year-old, he knows how to learn. I come alongside him, I give him the materials, I give him requirements, and he can learn it almost self-taught. But we also have a community that we get together once a week, and our kids get together. They're in a classroom setting. They have some direction from a tutor, and
okay, so I got a follow-up question. Okay, so when you first thought to yourself, I'm going to homeschool, did you get any pushback from family or friends? And how did you tell your children, you're not going to school with everyone else, you're actually going to stay here and I'm going to teach you?
We lucked out on that because my son was going into kindergarten, so I didn't know any different.
Okay.
And we've actually been really lucky. We have really supportive friends and family, and we had a little bit of community. We knew a few homeschoolers, and we just kind of jumped in, and then that community grew and grew, and it's a really tight-knit group of people. So we didn't really have any pushback.
I think one of the concerns from outsiders that you hear a lot, I'm sure you've heard this, is that, well, you're just at home, you're actually isolating yourself, but you're not alone. You have your own community of fellow moms and teachers and other students that they can work together, right, to make it a school experience.
Yes. Yeah, we do that. So you can, I mean, it's very parent directed. So our kids, we're really not at home that often.
Really?
That is one of the biggest misconceptions.
Because I have in my head, you're sitting in a room in your house all day long, going over stuff, and I would be like, I got.
And now school begins. It's like, you know, because as a parent, sometimes you need to get out of the house. So you can actually school outside.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Angelita, what are those experiences like?
The world's a classroom. So if we're talking about something about, sea animals, well, let's go to the aquarium today. Or let's go to the beach. Let's go actually touch the sand. Let's talk about it. Take it to the environment where these animals are at. So it's wonderful. We're talking about aviation. Let's go to the Aerospace Museum today.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So it's really, like I said, when I said taking the limits off their learning, their ability to be, access, and it helps too with their learning styles. So if that visual learner, they're going to the max when I'm taking them to that place and they're actually touching things.
Did you have to go back and get schooling to prepare yourself for being a teacher to your child? I feel like I'd have to go back and get some pointers.
There's so much support, I think, out there that where we feel sometimes insecure, that support just helps you and you feel well prepared with it. Anything from even helping with them actually taking a class somewhere else where you don't even have to teach that subject, or bringing someone home, even like a tutor. I know some moms come together and they'll do a classroom together.
Okay.
And like one mom will be the Spanish teacher, the other mom will be the cookie teacher. Different things like that. There's so many possibilities.
Oh, wow.
A
Okay.
couple quick comments because this is a live interactive show.
Yeah.
First comment right off the bat, Jeremiah says you look beautiful. That's her husband. So we knew we were going to have one viewer.
Okay, go, Dad.
Here's a great question from Karina Martinez to both of you, and maybe we'll start with you, Angelita, and then you, Kelly. She says, my daughter doesn't want to go to middle school. I think, that age is tough. Middle school is tough.
Yeah.
So my daughter doesn't want to go to middle school. Should I make her go for the experience, or should I listen and homeschool her? I mean, obviously, we don't know all the ins and outs of that.
Yeah.
But what about if there's, what's your gut
thoughts?
tell
I would
you in
really
that moment?
explore that homeschool for her. Because I feel like parents are going to be the best teachers. They're going to get the most from them. They're going to feel comfortable to learn. They're not going to be so distracted or maybe feel uncomfortable in those other situations where they're not going to be focused on learning anymore. It's about whatever's going on socially or, So now you're not only going to help them soar in their education, but they're also going to feel comfortable in their own home to relax. And that's going to make her successful in the long run, rather than trying to, I think, push her in a situation where she's uncomfortable.
What do you think about that?
Yeah.
Should you listen to them, or should you push back? Like, what would you say in that situation?
I agree 100% with what you said. I think, for me personally, I know this isn't everyone's experience, but for me, by the time I got into middle school, high school, it was all about my social life. I wasn't really interested
Who's
in
wearing
learning
what?
anymore.
Who's
And that's
dating
just me. I'm
whom?
not saying everyone does that, but it does happen. And I think if you can remove, any extra drama from their educational experience, and just knowing, what a lot of people might not know is that there's just so much support. There's a ton of community. They're not going to be
specific when you say support. When you say support, what do you mean? Because you talked to Joe earlier that you have a charter school that you work in tandem with. Is that what you mean when you say you have a ton of support?
So there's charter schools, which are amazing. They're a really, really good way to homeschool. You'll have a teacher that comes alongside you. I used to feel like it was like my training wheels. You can also be completely independent and find just community wherever you live. There's always homeschooling co-ops, and like you said, just parents put together classes and just different ways to, hey, this mom's really good at math, or she taught math in high school.
And so you
she'll
would
teach
bring
math
her
for us.
in, and she would teach your child for you. Can you combo with other people's children? And
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And whatever works. So here's the thing, though.
There's no limits. There's no limits.
No limits.
Yeah.
But you do have to be, your family has to be able to afford to do this, right? Like for my family, I have to work. So I don't have the opportunity to think about that unless I've made a financial plan and tried to, put myself in the best position to try and pull that off. But you guys were fortunate enough that you were able to do that. Did you do any planning ahead of time because you knew you wanted to try and stay home and homeschool?
Early on in my marriage, I really felt God was speaking to my husband and I, because we were living off both of our incomes. And he was like, you guys need to learn how to work off of one. I think he was just setting us up for our future. But even still, I know working moms that homeschool. And it's
really?
a lot. It's work. It is. but it's rewarding at the same time. I work a little bit. I work part-time.
Okay.
I'm a fitness coach at Orange Theory Fitness in Elk Grove, and so I know it's possible. It just takes some planning, and you got to realize it's not that same. When we send our kids to school, it's like what, 7 to 3 or 2.
A long time, yeah.
So, but we're not homeschooling our kids that long.
So I read that. So homeschooling can be it has to be at most 3 hours a day or 3 to 4 hours a day.
I actually don't know.
I was just gonna say there's a limit.
Yeah. Is there a limit?
Yeah.
Really,
I don't know.
it's just maybe as you get older in the high school.
Yeah, I think there's probably some.
Because I thought I could do 3 hours. Because I thought, okay, if my kid gets to school at 8 and she's getting out around 3, there is no way I could be like completely in teacher mode for that long a period of time.
To me, it's really about the child and how well they learn these concepts and how they go through it. So it's, in a sense, these are your keys that you want to hit at the end of the year. You break them down, you try to achieve them, and so maybe it takes them a week to learn that specific, standard, or maybe a day. So it's really about the child. Yep. And so whether it's a couple hours, and then you can break it up and
got you.
Just have during the day too.
It's a very efficient way. There's no classroom management involved. I mean, there's regular managing your own kids, which can be
I need to be regulated. I'm just going to let you know.
There's,
Now,
one-on-one. It's really
here's one
way.
you've probably heard before, but it's worth answering on the show.
Okay.
Cheryl says, how can you homeschool your child if you're not a certified teacher? After all, teachers go to school to become a teacher. What do you guys
That's
say
a
to
good
that?
question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like she said, for our charter schools, it's really great because they have that liaison to help. They are certified, so they make sure, kind of that accountability, making sure you're doing the right thing.
So if you get to a topic you can't quite handle, you can bring in a liaison to help you.
Yes. Or even, for instance, I brought this curriculum. This is my first year with it in writing, where just to help me with the younger ones, so my son can really just go forward in that writing. They have software where they will have a lecturer teach the lesson, and he can go right into it by himself. And I can work my younger two while he's getting his writing done.
Okay, I like that. So now, speaking of what you're doing, we have video.
Okay.
And I saw, take a look at Angelita's setup. Now, she said that it took her a while to get her home classroom to look this good. But when I looked at it, I was immediately overwhelmed. I was like, how did she pull this off? So we got the video, and apparently it's your dining room?
No, this is my loft upstairs.
Your loft upstairs. And she has... it looks like a classroom. So when you first come in, you had like folders up against the wall. You have books in bookcases. Yes. I'm kind of walking you guys through it, and it has a little audio that comes along with it. So she's going to walk us through it.
Right. I did not start off with this room. Okay, I started off with this little thing right here. This was our homeschool situation. So don't feel like you need a room to teach your kids. You absolutely do not, okay? I just want to reiterate, what I'm doing with my kids, I know is a lot more vigorous than you would probably do for your typical, early childhood age, elementary. So you do what works for your family.
Wow, that looks good. So can we, let's do back to back. So we want to go ahead and show yours, Kelly? So you're going to have to walk us through yours.
No audio, okay.
Yeah, and kind of let us know what we're looking at. How long you've been homeschooling? 10 years.
Yeah.
So I'm sure your setup didn't always look this good.
This is kind of more like my homeschool storage. We don't do a lot of our schooling here.
You don't?
We're maybe 20%. So, after 10 years, I've amassed way more curriculum than I need. And this is kind of where we keep it. And we do some school up here, but we're all over the house. We're in the backyard. Some kids will climb up a tree. It just we do our schooling.
And if nothing else, if you don't know where to start with a map. All classes have to have a map.
Yeah, it makes it feel official.
There you go. And then go up to a globe.
There you go.
What is it? It's obviously a classroom.
Go to IKEA, get your stuff.
But to your point, my whole family grew up they're all educators, principals, teachers, and what they've experienced is that the first couple of years are the hardest because they're trying to figure out their lesson plan. Yeah. And so that spoke to me. What you were saying is you've amassed a lot of curriculum, but then you know what you need and you know what you don't need and you know what you can take out of a book and do in real life. And so, you get better every year. That's just something that as educators, my family has told me.
With your support system, will they give you a lesson plan, kind of help you?
If you're with a charter, your teacher will absolutely help you with lesson
that
plans.
helps.
Yeah, and there's standards. You know what the standards are. They're tested every year in a charter. When you're independent and you don't have that, usually you feel pretty confident in what you're doing.
Independent meaning you're not working with anyone.
You're not working with any charter, but you'll still have your community. I don't know very many homeschoolers that aren't in a thriving community.
Got you. Rob, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I think as we all know, school is more than just learning out of the books. It's also that experience that we've been talking about. And a lot of people have been talking about that they have concerns about safety for schools. I think we know that sending your kid off to school is not always a feeling that you're excited about. You get worried about it. And let me bring up one comment from Jeanette Martinez. With all the bullying and shootings, yes, I had taught about homeschooling my kids, but then again, I need to let them be kids, let them interact with other children, make friends, get to know the outside world. So it's sort of that one foot in the other. There's some bad that can come with going to that school environment, but there's a lot of good that can come from it as well. And we also had a lot of comments about people worried about kids going off to school, and they're just worried about their safety. Was that part of your decision that you're worried about school safety in general?
I was a little bit, yeah. I mean, my children are young too, and I feel like just as society, they're kind of aging our children maturity so fast. And I'm like, let's let them be kids. You know, I used to be in education. I didn't start off in school in that way. Actually, was going a whole nother direction. But I had a taste of being able to teach. And I saw what these kindergartners were already, the way they spoke. Like, wow, you've been exposed to a whole lot. And I was like, I want to, in a sense, protect not only the safety of my child, but the innocence of them as well. And that was part of my decision. And, yeah.
For me, it wasn't so much that, but it was more, I just wasn't ready to send him off all day yet. You know, he was only 5, and I just wasn't ready to do that. And even though homeschooling wasn't on my radar at the time, I was like, I'll try it just because I just want to be with them longer.
But you said California is a great state for homeschooling. What do you mean by that?
It's very, how do you describe it? There's a lot of freedom in it in California, you know, and it's really, you know, like you said, if you want to be completely independent and do your own thing, you are more than welcome to do that. And I think it's a scary thought for people, but what gives me comfort is homeschooling is not a new idea. It's actually, that's how people got their education for most of, you know, human history. So, you know, I think what we're doing now, you know, it's been around for a couple hundred years, and so it helped me just to really think, it's like, you know, this is not, you know, a new thing. This is.
And it's easier than we think, because you said your home is your school, and your husband is the principal. So you guys just
when we're independent. Yeah, we're back with the charter this year, but when we're independent, and that's legal. You fill out the legal California affidavit, and that's how it works.
And you know what's great about that? You have paperwork that says he's going to handle discipline.
Yes, I send my kids to the principal's office. I haven't done that.
There you go. So we put this out there earlier, and again, the big question, if you're just tuning in, what the question is here is that we, there we go. I don't know where it is. There we go.
There you are.
Sorry. Again, sorry, dads. I represent all of us. You know that we're kind of like there, and we're also not there. But we put out the question earlier, have you ever thought about homeschooling? And that's what we're talking about here on Three Moms and a Dad. So here's some earlier comments that we got. We're going to start with Kimberly M. Again, have you ever thought about homeschooling? I have, but I don't have the patience and stamina to do it.
I hear
and
that.
My kids know that. They're going to eat you alive. I applaud parents that can homeschool. We're going to get to a couple more just because we appreciate this. So here's Audrey WC. Yes, I did it for a few years, and I wish I could have done it longer. We're going to go to Tabitha next. I thought about it, yes. Realistically, we can't. Who can stay at home from work to homeschool? Not us. And you brought up that point, you know, Tracy, as well. Lisa says, it's the best thing I ever did. There's your comment right there. And Tina C says, honestly, never before, but now he's in high school, the things I hear that are happening, the stress and the pressure I see my son is under, I can't wait for him to get out of there. So yes, it has been crossing my mind. So here's an interesting question. Do you have to start when they're in kindergarten at 5, or is this something that if they've been in the school environment that they can transition to? If you as a parent feel like you've had enough, this is your decision, and you want to pull them out of school and teach them at home, what about your experience or other homeschoolers you talked about? Can you pull them out at a later age?
Absolutely. I know moms have done that, any age, any grade. In fact, you can even pull them from high school, and if you want to start putting them in college classes, you can. So,
I like that. And we also had, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just quickly, my producer was asking, are there any charter schools you recommend while you're answering that question? Anything you like, you want to?
I recommend any of them.
Well, there we go.
If you had
so you're running for political office.
Yeah, any of them. I know they're all great. They all have their strengths.
There was one you guys were speaking about, though.
We're both with Inspire.
Inspire.
There's Visions. There's Horizons. I think there's one called Core. There's quite a few great ones. So,
Okay, cool.
Okay, I've got to ask like a big question. Because again, I get the education and the support and all that sort of stuff. Do you ever, there's big high school moments. There is the big football game. I mean, not to be trivial about this stuff, but high school is an experience, for better or for worse. I think we've had good experiences and a lot of bad experiences, to be honest. What about that going off to prom? What about going off to the football game? What kind of opportunities are available for homeschoolers to sort of get some of those experiences? Because I think we can all admit that some of those things put in a positive light and doing it the right way can be beneficial for these kids.
Good question, Rob.
What is there anything like that out there? I'm just curious.
Well, with the charter, they actually have those. So there are proms. There are those dances and such. But and then I know you mentioned about your children being in sports. My kids are in sports, so they're getting all that interaction as well, and they get to see the games. And really, I love it because they get to put them in things that they're going to enjoy. So my daughter loves ballet. She loves gymnastics. My son loves soccer, so he's going to the soccer games. Okay.
So, did you want to answer as well?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, there's different, parents will put together certain things. You can, the charters do things. For me, like, for my son for high school, we're probably going to come under what's called a private school satellite program, and he'll be part of like a private Christian school, and which has all those things. He could wrestle, play football, do all those things. So, but we would still be homeschooling. So.
Got you. So I'm going to ask you a quick question, and then we're going to get to some of the nuts and bolts of what some more statistics on the homeschooling. How do you get your kids to do your homework? I mean, like, what are you doing?
Well, this is funny. With my 14-year-old, he was my strong-willed one, and I got to cut my teeth on him. So once I finally got him to just, this is the requirement. We still talk about things like if there's just something that's not working, like a curriculum that's just not working.
You never have to lay down the hammer.
I'm not going to force it. I do, and I feel like for him the first few years, I really, I would put on an apron like I told you. I'm teacher now. I tried all these different things before it just became part of our life. And so he'll tell the little ones, if they're, giving me pushback, you just haven't accepted your fate yet.
Wow.
He's like, just do it. She's going to make you do it. Just
so did you do timeouts? Did you have to, like, what did you do?
Oh, how did I get it? I think, I don't remember. I mean, I just didn't give up. I just did not give up. There were times when I was like, and then I had to really listen to my child too, because I don't want to force feed things that they're not interested in. If you're really trying to force something that's just not working, this is what I like about homeschooling too. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. You can really be flexible. And I just really had to learn my child. Is he just being rebellious, or is this just really not a curriculum or a subject that is, worth diving into?
Okay, Angelita, do you?
No, it helps that I started really young. So my kids were already used to, in a sense, having this reading time or this learning time with mommy. And they kind of thought it was fun. So it was nice. Now I'm starting to get a little pushback from my eldest. And I think open and honest communication helps. Realizing this is what we do, this is how we learn, this is, I'm like, and I also compare, well, this is what they're doing at public school. Look how good you're at home.
We threaten with public school. We've done that before.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just going to send you to public.
But, so, and it's nice that I could say, hey, do you just need a break right now? Do we both need a break right now? Let's do that. Come back and let's get back.
Go to In-N-Out, come on back and get it together?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through some of our stats. So just over 2 million kids are homeschooled in the United States. In California, there are 3 legal options under which you may homeschool privately. Homeschooling in a home-based private school, homeschooling with a private school satellite program, or homeschooling via instruction by a private tutor. With the home-based private school, private instruction in courses commonly taught in public schools, maintain immunization, personal beliefs exemption. You do need a list of course of study. Your instructions must be in English. Is that true? Okay, all right. Go and file an annual private school affidavit. Now, I would be remiss if I did not ask this question. So you guys get money for this. Let's talk about this money. Like, how does that work?
So through charter, they give you a stipend and they break it up within semesters. And I mean, you can't just go spend it on whatever you want. You do have to spend it, of course, on things that are learning or sports, and which is great because I get to put that towards the things that they enjoy and want to learn versus them having to.
So, you want to give a range? What your stipend is?
What is it? I want to say $2,600 per child, and that's for all of your extracurriculars, all of your curriculum. It's basically the tax dollars that
Right.
you would be spent on them if they were in public school.
Okay.
The
So,
reality
regular
is
public
that
school.
you know you pay taxes that go into it. So through this, you're able, with accountability, you're
Yep.
able to get some of it back.
Yep.
Really quick, I just want to add in one
Yes,
comment because
yes.
it's kind of summarizing a lot of things, and then we'll let you wrap it up, Tracy.
Thank
This
you.
is from Betty Lynn Moore, and I'm just going to read off here. As far as homeschooling, for this individual, he's more relaxed. He has dyslexia, and a traditional school doesn't have specific program to remediate it. He was getting stressed out in his traditional school because he wasn't able to read and felt stupid. I am using a specific program to teach him how to read. It takes enrichment classes. We have joined a couple of different homeschool groups. It's different, but he likes it. So, you know, everybody knows their own kid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if it's not working in one place, maybe it works for another. So it's been really interesting to hear your guys'
I know,
perspective.
and I was so overwhelmed, which is why I wanted to do the topic, and Rob and I were talking about it, but talking to you, I actually feel like maybe I could do it. So we're going to start to wrap things up. So I just wanted to say to the viewers at home, if you have questions about homeschooling, Angelita and Kelly, I will forward your comments to them. No, and if you have any questions or anything we did not touch on that you want to know a little bit more about, if you guys don't mind, we'd love to bring and keep you in the conversation.
absolutely.
You know, how to get it started. You know, maybe it's an easy way to get it started. Do you start at the beginning of the semester, in the semester? I'm not quite sure, but we can always ask questions and get everyone in on the conversation. So thank you guys for joining us. Homeschooling. That was today's topic. If you have a topic you want us to dive into, let us know. Otherwise, that's today's 3 Moms and a Dad.